Well, hey there everybody, this is Snackbox here, coming to you from a sort of a gray, dreary, but beautiful day in Atlanta, Georgia. The weather is really incredible, to be quite honest with you. It's a nice spring day, heading into the end of February, the start of March. Very much excited about having February in the rear view, because that puts us 1 month closer to the Colorado Trail through hike. We are all planning. I'm super amped about it. We're talking today about segment 12 of the Colorado Trail. This is for all of you eastbounders going around the collegiate range, taking that bold move, going the original route. I've got some information, some details for you, so stay tuned. We've got a lot to cover. Let's get to it. I'm gonna drink some of this tea. All right, so segment 12 of the Colorado Trail goes 18.5 miles. It goes from Clear Creek Road to the Silver Creek Trailhead. I'm gonna make no bones about it. This is a hard section. It's just a hard section. It has nearly 4,900 feet of elevation gain and nearly 4,700 feet of elevation descent over that 18.5 miles. It is just a tough segment. You need to be ready for it and just have yourself mentally in gear to know that this is gonna be a challenge, but you're up to it. If you've made it this far, you can certainly handle it, so don't let that discourage you. Just know that this is one where you really have to kind of keep your head in the game, because there aren't a lot of views to pay off for all of that hard work, but they're coming. I promise they're coming. But this is part of that stretch that I told you about a little while ago that I call the sort of the grind. These are tough segments, but the payoff is going to be huge. And if you've made the bold choice to go east around the collegiate range, I can promise you there's some really good stuff coming on the second half of this, but this stretch here is just going to be hard, so you need to know a couple of tips to keep you going, keep your head in the game. First thing to know is that this is the segment where you need that fishing license. We talked about this in segment 11, and I mentioned that you should pick up your fishing license in Twin Lakes. There's at the Twin Lakes General Store. You can pick one up for a couple of days out. That will be a great help to you to avoid a $100 ticket. As you all know, I find this a little bit frustrating that you have a half-mile stretch right at the beginning where you are going to cross this valley. This is a stretch where you go through a fish management area and you have to go a half mile through this area, and to just be there you need a fishing license, so you need to pick one up. It's about $16. They instituted it last year while I was on the trail, and they were pretty open about the fact that they weren't going to enforce it last year, but they were going to enforce it this year. It's even discussed on the Colorado Trail Foundation webpage, so make sure you have a fishing license going through this segment. Again, I don't recommend going through it without a license. I don't know how seriously they're going to pursue it, but I also think that the money is going to conservation, so there are worse things to spend that money on, and it's also really a good thing for us as users of the trail to be good stewards of the trail and follow the rules and basically be decent about it. So let's get into 3 of those tips that I have for you. These are all 3 tips that I think are really useful. My first tip for this stretch is that you should try to camp at Rainbow Lake. There are 2 big climbs in this section that are really tough climbs. There's no way around it. There are 2 really tough climbs, but right in the middle of those 2 climbs, there's a side trail that'll take you to the Rainbow Lake. This is a great spot to sort of set as your destination, because it'll break up those 2 big climbs into 2 different days, and you'll start the next day by hopping over that next big climb. That's always a really good way to go about doing a climb, is starting it out first thing in the morning, so by the time you even stop for your first snack, which you should stop for lots of snacks, by the time you stop for your first snack, you are already up over that big climb for the day. Similarly, my second tip is actually to not camp at the Harvard Lakes. These are spots where there aren't really a lot of great campsites, and the few that are there get used pretty heavily, so I'm going to recommend that you skip the Harvard Lakes and don't camp there. It's not a great spot. It tends to be a little boggier, a little buggier than the Rainbow Lake, so skipping the Harvard Lakes later in the segment is a really good idea for a lot of different reasons, but the best bet is to just find a different spot. Don't camp there, so that we can kind of minimize the traffic in and out of that area. That can be really useful for us as well, and for those people hiking the trail in the future. The last tip I have for you has to do with the very end of the segment at the Clear Creek Trailhead. There are a couple of different things to know about this part of the trail. Number 1, there's a bathroom. Rejoice. It is fantastic. There's a bathroom. It tends to be pretty clean. It's a really good one right by the creek. This is a good spot here. It's also worth knowing that at the end of this segment, if you decide you want to hitch into Buena Vista, it's not a hard hitch, and if you time that hitch with when a lot of the day hikers from Buena Vista will be heading out, it's pretty easy to catch a hitch back into town. Although the last tip I have here is don't hitch out at the end of the segment. Wait until the next day when you get over to the Avalanche Trailhead. There are a lot of things we can talk about with the Avalanche Trailhead. It's a much easier hitch out because it's on a paved road, or a road walk out because it's also on a paved road. You don't have to worry about that. The other reason that I like to not hitch out here is because it's only 6 miles and you're going to go over the last major climb in the east. If you've been following along, you know that I think the Collegiate East is really hard. I think it's hard, arguably as hard as the Collegiate West, even though the climbs are a little bit different. But these climbs can be really gnarly, and at the top there are often not a lot of views. So what I recommend is waiting to hitch out to Buena Vista or walk into Buena Vista until you get to the Avalanche Trailhead, which is 6 miles into the next segment. So don't hitch out here, use the bathroom, do whatever you got to do, then go find a camp spot, and the next morning hop over that giant climb down into Buena Vista. It's going to be a really good thing to have that all in the rear view so that you can relax when you're in Buena and you're having a great time. There are a couple of great breweries, there's a shower there waiting. Even if you don't rent a hotel room, there's a public shower facility in Buena Vista. There are all the supplies you might need. You can get resupply, whatever it is. I do recommend heading into Buena, but don't go into Buena just yet. Wait until the next road over. It's a really good thing, I can promise you that. Pretty well covers it. I hope this information's been helpful. If it has been helpful, I hope you'll click subscribe so you can stay tuned as I put out more videos with the rest of the segments. I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between the Collegiate East and Collegiate West, so the next one coming out should be the Collegiate West segment 2. Stay tuned for that if you're deciding you want to go west, which again, that's my plan for this year. I went east last year. I'm going to go west this year. Really looking forward to it. If you find me on Instagram at Backcountry Champion, you don't even have to follow me. I just want to say thank you for subscribing and being a supporter of the channel. Send me a message on Instagram with an address where I can send you one of these sweet Outside Comfort Zone stickers. I will mail it to you, no money out of pocket. It's truly just a way to say thank you to you all for being so supportive of me and my channel so far. Really had a great time getting to know everybody, and looking forward to many more adventures to come. In the comments below, I want you to tell me what your favorite luxury item is. What's the one thing you carry in your backpack that makes no sense at all? For me, I take a clean pair of socks for every single day. That's my luxury item. I know it doesn't make sense. I know there are ways to do it with 3 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of socks. Some people go 1 pair of socks. You can buy expensive socks. I don't care. I'm carrying a pair of socks clean for every day. They keep blisters off my feet. I'll carry the extra weight and volume. Doesn't matter to me because I love this luxury item so much. What is your piece of irrational luxury gear? What is it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm dying to hear what kind of weirdos are out there packing up a bunch of crazy stuff into the woods like me and my 7 different pairs of socks when I go on these hikes. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks everybody. Snackbox out. Have a great day. I don't think that's gonna make the final cut. You see my pups over here? How good are these dogs, right? See that one? They're dirty, stinky dogs. You should be grateful that we don't have smell-o-vision right now, because these 2 pups need a bath so bad. So when I was sitting here, I was setting up to film, I saw a red-tailed hawk swoop down, catch a bird, pin it to the earth, wait for it to die, and then fly away. It's like the circle of life up in here. Which, speaking of those hawks, I should have mentioned this a little while ago. There's a stretch right as you cross that Clear Creek Road where it's a raptor nesting area. So you have to be really careful during the late July because those little will swoop the out of you. So be real careful there. Oh.